2024 has not been a great year for Kyle Busch. I think that's probably the easiest thing that could be said. But I think what it made us realize is how important right now he is to NASCAR fans more than ever. We'll talk about here on Stuck in the Catchfence. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday. The playoff field is set. Tyler Reddick just won the regular season championship as Chase Briscoe beat Kyle Busch to make it as the last car into the NASCAR playoffs. We'll have all that and more on this week's episodes coming up, but I want to talk to you about something that I've really been thinking about doing for a while now, and that's talking about the season that is with Kyle Busch and kind of what I've realized over the last few weeks. The last 3 weeks, Kyle Busch has ran into the top 5 after having an absolutely horrible season, with 2 of those weeks the opportunity to win the race. And what it's made me realize here recently is that just talking to NASCAR fans, just talking to the people that enjoy this sport, even casual fans, that NASCAR really still needs a Kyle Busch to be relevant. Not saying that it's not popular, not saying that it could be more popular. What I'm saying is, from the emotional standpoint, Kyle Busch has been somebody that has been loved to be hated for a very long time. Since he has switched to Chevy, that, pretty much has changed. And now he gets roughly as many cheers as he does boos. Now, that's never really affected me, but for most people, I've had this realization in these encounters that Kyle Busch is now somebody that was universally hated outside of Rowdy Nation to now people are rooting for him to win a race. And let me tell you why I think that is and why it's so important that NASCAR needs him. In today's NASCAR day and age, we are now witnessing drivers do whatever they want. It's a total different generation. And Austin Dillon will wreck 2 cars to win a race, whether he ends up not making the playoffs or not. We've seen Ross Chastain wreck cars to win races and has not been the same since he had to talk with Mr. Hendrick and told to slow down. The generational differences from today's athletes in this sport are completely different. Yes, they're young. They come up really young. They don't drive with the old veteran guys down in the lower series anymore. And with that has lost a lot of respect. Now it's not improving your racecraft. It's actually how much money do you bring into the table so that we can get you a ride. The better drivers are being passed up because they don't bring as much money to the table in terms of sponsorship. And with that has lost racecraft. With that has lost respect of the other fellow drivers. And NASCAR itself has put these drivers in a position to reward that with a win and get in playoff system. You can't hate Harrison Burton because he's 34th in points and gets into the playoffs. You have to accept that Harrison Burton put himself in the position to get into the playoffs, regardless of where he is at in points, because NASCAR wants it that way. And the product of NASCAR has been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I would argue that this year has been the best regular season that I can remember in recent memory, maybe outside of the very first year of the next gen cars. I thought that was really good too. But what's been lost during this time, when drivers were losing their ability to get into the championship because of wrecking a teammate of Kyle Busch doing that, it feels like a lot of what the professionalism, the racecraft, the doing whatever it takes, but doing it the right way, has been lost. And a beacon for that type of racing still exists, as shown by a guy that's won more than any other driver in NASCAR history in the 3 current series that we have. Kyle Busch was viewed as a hothead. He was viewed as being somebody that you hated because of the way he talked. But now going into his later years, seeing that He's not going to make the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. He's only got 10 races left to try to continue a streak of winning a race in a single, at least one race in a season for 20 straight seasons. That being in jeopardy, he still showed that there's still enough respect in that type of generation and a driver that loved Mark Martin to say, hey, this is not the way I'm going to do it. Does Kyle Busch view himself to not needing to win? Maybe. But Kyle Busch is very clear of where he stands in the record books, what he has accomplished and what he still wants to accomplish. When you make yourself a 3-time champion, that's putting you on a level of greatness. Mount Rushmore talk, if he's not there already with all the other things that he's done. It solidifies that. It solidifies that leaving JGR. He didn't need them because he's Kyle Busch. All those different type of things Kyle Busch could have done by wrecking Harrison Burton and by doing something absolutely asinine to Chase Briscoe. There are more than half the field that would have done it if put in the same position that Kyle Busch was. But what really, really is interesting is to get on social media and listen to the same fan groups that could not stand this man because of the words that he said in interviews. Now come up to me, tell me that they're rooting for him, that they were literally sad whenever he didn't win, when they literally come to me and say they are sad for me because he didn't win. That is something that I think has just proven the need for Kyle Busch to still be relevant in this sport. He still moves the needle more so than any other driver currently. Yeah, you're going to say Kyle Larson. Yeah, you're going to say Chase Elliott. I just don't think that's still, I just don't believe that's the case. They may have more fans, but when it comes to growing the sport, when it comes to capturing the attention of the sport from a casual perspective, I still think Kyle Busch is that guy. You know, Travis will come on here and he still has this complex, I'll call it, because he wants Kyle Larson to receive more praise than Chase Elliott. He does, he in his mind has to let himself be known that there's more people cheering for Kyle Larson than there are for Chase Elliott at the track. There's no way that Chase Elliott's the most popular driver in the sport. I have never felt that as a Kyle Busch fan. I used to love being one of the few people, which is more than a few, one of the people standing up cheering while the rest of the crowd boos. They boo because of the greatness. It reminds me of like Roman Reigns here recently. Roman Reigns has went on a historic championship run until he lost. And once he was gone for the sport for that brief amount of time, it's like the whole entire wrestling world realized how much they needed him. They realized how much he was important to the sport. The greatest heel of the sport was gone. And that emotion tied to it wasn't because he was bad. It wasn't some false like equivalency of, yeah, he's gone and he doesn't deserve that type of recognition. It's because he genuinely was missed in the sport. And I feel that's the same way now with Kyle Busch. He was booed universally, but when he's not at his best, when he's not given a chance to compete, racing fans now realize how important Kyle Busch has been to the sport. That they may not see him that much longer. Our time is limited with one of the greatest drivers of all time. And now Roman Reigns comes back. He's universally cheered. Will he be the same? We don't know yet. But we know our time with Roman Reigns, the prime is in the past. What we get now in the future, we're going to enjoy it much more. And I feel like the universal common NASCAR fan is feeling the same way, that Kyle Busch's time is limited in this sport. And now when they see that he isn't given the best chances to succeed, that we're now moving past that window of, oh man, I spent a lot of energy not liking this guy because of his domination, but I may not see greatness that much longer. So these 2 second place finishes have universally brought all of NASCAR fans, it feels like. There's going to be some that can't stand Kyle Busch, and I like those people. I enjoy it. But realize, like, man, our glimpses of the domination that was Kyle Busch. He's going to be 40. They're getting very, very close to it. We're seeing the end of Martin Truex. That's done after this year. Another one of those type of generational drivers. Kyle Busch is one of the last people, one of the last self-promoters, one of the last national attention stars that still races the way of the old ways. And maybe this is my getting older, yelling at clouds type of take. I don't know. Maybe it's more sentimental because it's my favorite driver. I don't know. But to me, that's just what it feels like. Is that glimpse of Kyle Busch having a chance to win just solidified the fact that, yeah, he's really damn good. And our chances of seeing this, we want it. The people that used to hate it, now they want it. The diehards that booed are now literally sending me messages. I was rooting for Kyle Busch in that moment. And that's awesome. And it's also kind of sad. Because we're getting to the days where Kyle Busch won't be here much longer. And if we don't see Kyle Busch on the track much longer, I'm sure we're not going to see him as competitive as he once was. To me, he's still one of the best drivers in this sport, bar none. Is he the Kyle Busch of old? Absolutely not. But he's still a damn good driver that, if given on the right role, like we've seen in the last month since the Olympic break, can go out there and put himself in a position to win a championship. RCR's done that. When you give Kyle Busch a good car, it doesn't have to be a great car, a good car, he can make the best out of any type of vehicle that he's in. And he's proven that. So, I believe still today that nobody moves the NASCAR needle from a national standpoint more so than Kyle Busch. Let me know if you disagree. I'll be glad to read the comments, and everything else is very interesting now to see how fans react to Kyle Busch, and now that the fact that he's gotten older and of course drives for Chevy. So my name is Ryan Peters. This is just a Let's Talk About It here on Stuck in the Catch Fence. We'll get a playoff primer as we are headed on our way to the playoffs. Next 3 races, first starting at Atlanta. What a way to start, going to Atlanta. And we'll see what your guys' picks are. Who do you think will advance out of this next round? Who do you think will win the championship? I'd love to know all that. Make sure to like the channel, subscribe if you would like to do that as well. So again, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. And like always, stay safe and God bless.